Welcome to Beast the Odds, presented by GOATFantasy.com. I'm Muntradamus, and tonight, first, we're gonna have a weather update from our newest member, Marky Mark. After that, we got our in-house doctor, Dr. Jesse Morris, in the building to give us an injury update on the Week 3 DFS slate. Welcome back to Beast the Odds. We are joined by the weather guru himself, Mark Parquette. Mark, thank you for joining us tonight.
Hey, how's it going this evening? Thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to this.
Yes, Mark is an expert weatherman. Why don't you tell the Beastdome Nation who you are so they know who they're getting their advice from?
Well, there's two places you can follow me on Twitter. One is @symbol, obviously, since we're talking about Twitter, DFS MLB Weather. That's where I obviously concentrate on Major League Baseball. And the other one is @NFL DFS Weather, where I can talk about the NFL, obviously, and that's what we're going to talk about tonight, right?
Yes, and we're very grateful to have you to give us the inside edge of what's going on. Thursday night was ridiculous. It was raining Jaguars, Titans, and Bears. Oh my. What do we got coming for this Sunday?
Well, we got two games that I'm going to be watching carefully. In football, what we're looking for is heavy rain, high winds, or extreme temperatures. Obviously, this time of year, we're not talking about extreme temperatures and cold, but we're going to look at some others. First and foremost is Kansas City. 1 o'clock game. There's some rain that's going to be moving through Saturday night into Sunday morning. We're going to have to see how long that rain is going to stick around for. There is the potential for some of this rain to be rather heavy, but hopefully, and this is what I'm thinking right now, that most, if not all of it, should be over for, you wouldn't say first pitch, first snap, or kickoff. That's what you call it for the NFL. So, right now, I'm leaning towards not major impacts, but it's certainly something to watch as we go through the next 24 hours. The other location is going to be in Buffalo. It looks like it's going to be fairly breezy, about 15 to 25 miles per hour. So kicking game and passing game may be impacted there.
Wow, 25-mile-per-hour winds in that Bills-Bengals game you're projecting?
Yeah, it looks like probably more on the lower end, like 15, but there could be some gusts of 25. And so, like I said, that could impact both the passing and the kicking game. I'm going to be looking at seeing where the direction the wind is coming from and how that aligns with the stadium. See if that's going to be on the back of the kicker, the quarterback, etc., or it's a crosswind. Generally, crosswinds are worse for both the kicking and the passing game because then the ball's flight is more majorly effective.
Yeah, I mean, Josh Allen is already so inaccurate as is with the heavy wind. That's not looking good for him. Let me ask you about the Baltimore-Kansas City game. Is the field going to be slick? Do we have to worry anything about there? Who's got an advantage in this condition?
Yeah, that's a good question. First and foremost, another part of research I'm going to have to do is that field turf or just regular grass? I believe it's just regular grass, and if that's the case, the ball could be slick because the grass would still. I think the field turf, it generally drains better, and so you wouldn't probably be talking about nearly as much moisture on the field. But again, that's something I have to research. And a lot of your question also depends, is that rain lingering into the game? Something right now, like I said, I'm not leaning towards it lingering into the game, or if it is, it's just really light in the beginning of it. Hopefully it's just out of there before kickoff, and then we really won't have to worry about it too much.
Okay. Well, we know we're going to be needing you as the season goes deeper and the weather gets crazier. It's been a crazy year of weather in 2019. I'm sure it's going to finish that way as well.
Yeah, we generally see over the last half of the NFL season, or even the last third, that's where the weather becomes more of an impact when you're talking about cold and snow in the northern locations, especially Buffalo, as we just mentioned. And, I mean, you generally get more rainy systems. Right now, we're still in a pretty quiet late summer, early fall weather pattern. But, yeah, you're right. Things should get more active as we get later into the season.
Okay, well, you can follow Mark on Twitter. Why don't you tell the places one more time so they all know?
Yep, real quick, DFS MLB Weather and The other one that you want to be more paying attention for the NFL is NFL DFS weather.
And you'll see me retweet Mark's tweets as we get closer to Football Sunday. Mark, thank you so much for joining us on BC Odds tonight.
You're welcome, sir. You have a good night, and I'll be talking to you soon.
We'll see you next week.
Sure, you can duel with kings, but are you ready to be the GOAT? Fantasy sports just went crypto. Welcome to GOAT, the global fantasy sports platform powered by Digital Fantasy Sports. DFS Token. GOAT allows users to connect and compete globally with their DFS while playing fantasy sports. From thrilling pick'em games to the classic salary cap style gameplay to season-long fantasy and even live drafts, Digital Fantasy Sports GOAT has you covered. Visit GOATFantasy.com.
Welcome back to BC Odds. We are joined by the famous Dr. Jesse Morse to go over the fantasy football injuries for Week 3 pertaining specifically to DFS. Dr. Jesse Morse, thank you for being with us once again.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. I'm excited for another crazy week of NFL football.
Yeah, it seems like the injuries are really racking up. Let's get right to it and start with the quarterback, Cam Newton. What's going on there?
As I like to call him, Killer Cam, he re-injured his foot injury that he suffered in preseason, and that's why he was playing a little silly, going, throwing a fade pass on a 4th and 1 when he could have just hobbled 5-6 feet. He looked like a shell of him for himself. So he basically re-aggravated his mid-foot injury. They've already ruled him out for this week. Cam isn't really the same quarterback without his feet. He has elite arm strength when he's at 100%, but it's really his legs that you're paying for. So given that, I want to say he's probably going to be healthy enough to be confident in Week 5. I think they'll still baby him in Week 4 because you don't want him to re-injure it again and this continue to linger all season. So they kind of have to be smart. Allen is probably going to be half decent, and I wouldn't be surprised if he had a rushing touchdown of his own. But I'm concerned about Cam enough that in a shallow league, I personally dropped him. I just feel like the quarterback is so deep. If you're in a redraft, that it's just not worth my headache.
So Cam, you're saying in about 2 weeks, Cam will be able to run the ball like he once was, or is his running just going to take a backseat for the rest of the season?
I'm a little concerned that he is going to take a backseat. I wouldn't be surprised if it takes him 3 or 4 weeks to get some more confidence. But, he needs to work on some mechanics, too, because he was throwing awful. He was way behind receivers. There was so many yards left in the field in that game.
Oh, he's been like that the last 2 years, it feels like, last 3 years.
I'm concerned about Cam overall, whether it's his foot, whether it's his arm placement, whether it's his arm strength from his rotator cuff surgery. There's a lot of things that aren't right with Cam right now, especially his wardrobe. I want to say stick with him, but Josh Allen just chilling on your waiver wire. But look at his matchup and say, all right, rock and roll.
Let's talk about the Beast Dome quarterback, Drew Brees. He went through the surgery. What's the latest there?
So it sounds like Dr. Shin did his surgery in L.A. at Curl and Job, a very renowned orthopedic institution. He essentially tore this ligament right here. It was confirmed. This is not a common quarterback or NFL injury really at all. So it's a little uncharted territory. My suspicion is I talked to our hand surgeon in-house at the Fantasy Doctors, and we talked a little bit more about it on the Fantasy Doctors podcast that dropped last night. And we basically thought this is a minimum of 6 weeks. But it could be closer to 8. It just depends on how he feels because he has to fully grip the ball, and that is what hurts the most, is that full flexion. One of my partners at my work actually did the same injury about 6 weeks ago. He's got a partial tear, and he still can't do this without pain. Brees has his surgically repaired, so it's going to be more stable. But this is still something that I'm concerned about. really probably before week 8 or 9. I mean, maybe week 10, I think he'll be probably ready to go. And they didn't put him on IR, so that is good news.
Yeah, and they have the bye week 9, so hopefully when they come out of the bye, he's ready to rock and roll. Let's look at the positional players for this week. We'll start with receivers that are questionable. T.Y. Hilton, what's going on there?
Sounds like he just tweaked a quad injury, not overly concerning. Unlike a hamstring injury, quads aren't particularly awful. They do have a good blood supply, so they can swell and become a little tender. But usually these guys do really well with a quad. They're not notorious for re-injuring. Usually, in Hilton's specific instance, I think he's a really good sell high, personally. Not really because of the injury, but more so because of his air yards and his offense and whatnot. But he should be good to go this weekend. I'm not overly concerned.
I'm going to disagree with you on the sell high. I believe the Colts offense still is yet to hit their full gear, and they will hit it. Let's keep going. Alshon Jeffrey, he's questionable. You were talking about the calf muscle last week and how it's hard to move. See, I'm taking notes. I'm listening. How it's hard to move no matter the injury. Is he? What's your thoughts on him this week?
He's probably going to go, but he shouldn't. I'm happy Djax is shutting it down, but I think Alshon should follow in step. I know that he probably kind of needs him. Alshon has a tendency to always play banged up regardless of what the injury is, which is respectable, but I don't know how effective he's going to be. The calf is really important to acceleration, and we'll talk about this in a sec with Marlon Mack, but it's hard to push off the line against a defender to really hit your stride if the calf muscle is barking at you. I had a patient yesterday, the day before. He had a grade 1 calf strain, which is basically what Alshon has. And I documented this on ultrasound, so I saw the exact muscle. It didn't have much damage. And this guy, he was in his 40s, like a regular guy, nothing crazy, and he couldn't even walk without a cane. Like, calf strains can be really painful. So, best case scenario, he does mediocre and doesn't suffer a re-injury, but this is going to take like at least 2 to 3, maybe up to 4 weeks for him to actually fully heal, and that's if he doesn't play it on it this week. So I don't have a good feeling about this, and he could very well leave early in the game and not return.
So definitely don't play Alshon in daily fantasy this week. And then with T.Y. Hilton, is he going to play this week, you believe?
Yeah, I think he'll be fine. I'm not worried about
so
T.Y.
vintage T.Y., no holdbacks or anything.
Yeah, no, I think I like for them. They have a really good running matchup, but as we'll talk about in a sec with Mac, I like T.Y. to get a couple looks, but I don't. They're playing a decent Atlanta team.
Well, let's transition to Marlon Mack because it's the same game. So tell us about Mack. What's going on there?
Yeah, so Mack popped up with a calf injury, and like I was just talking about, Marlon he didn't practice Wednesday or Thursday. I think he did at least a limited today, which is semi good news. But as I said, these don't heal in 2 days. He's been getting a ton of workload, and if there's a matchup to exploit, it's Atlanta, especially how awesome that the Colts' front line is. The O-line has been really helping them out. I've been utterly impressed with Mack. He's really kind of been impressive. I'm a little concerned with this calf. If you have him, you kind of have to flex him, in my opinion, and I would probably put someone a little safer in your RB1 or 2. I think Wilkins has some upside here as well, because if Mack goes out, then Wilkins is probably going to get the lion's share because of how the backfield plays out.
Yeah, Hines is more just a third down running back, even though he did look good last year when he got some moments, but so far this season does not look like the same guy at all. So Mack, do you believe he's going to play on Sunday, yes or no? And if he plays, does he get the full workload?
No, he's definitely not getting full workload. He's at very high risk for re-injury. He's a game-time decision, in my opinion.
Okay, so don't even bother with Mack, even if he gets a start in daily fantasy.
No, I have no interest in daily. I do have interest in Wilkins, but not in Mack. He's just too expensive for his potential risk.
Okay, let's go on to another running back, LeSean McCoy. He's got a chance to start. Well, we can talk about Damian Williams as well. What's going on with both those guys?
So both of their lead backs are banged up. Damian Williams, a knee injury. They said it was mild contusion, but they ruled him out pretty quickly for the week to be a contusion, which would be a big, a bruise essentially. We don't have any details. All we know is that Damian is out. So we'll have to kind of play it by ear for next week. LeSean McCoy had an ankle injury that he sounds like he suffered later in the game. Had an MRI and ended up being negative, which is good. That doesn't mean it was completely negative. It just means it was negative for any major issues or ligament tears or fractures or anything like that. My suspicion is they'll give McCoy a little bit of the workload, but he's not going to get the lion's share. So I think this is a combo between Darwin, who could break out, and maybe some Darrell, some fourth quarter just straight barrel running.
All right, if the game's out of hand, you're saying just give him the ball to knock it out. So McCoy, is McCoy going to see at least 60 to 70%? Like, is his ankle healthy enough to handle that?
No, I don't think Grandpa McCoy can handle that.
Okay, so pass on McCoy this week, wait another week to see how he responds. Rashad Penny, another running back who ended up questionable. What's going on there?
He popped up today with a hamstring. I hate, there's two things that I really avoid in fantasy football and just in NFL in general. One is late injury ads, Friday injuries, Thursday, Friday injuries, and two is hamstring injuries. We saw last year how bad Leonard Fournette burned us when he came back too soon and re-injured his hamstring. So any new hamstrings like Devin Singletary, these don't heal quickly. These really re-injure, like notorious. Almost, I could put money on it how they're going to re-injure. So this is unless this is just a cramp and they just called it, a BS call. This is likely he probably won't play, or he'll keep him active, but he really won't do anything. So this could be a bump to Carson.
Okay, so bench Penny in all leagues. Don't even think about him in daily fantasy, even if he gets the go-ahead to play.
Correct. Yeah, I just think he's too high risk. All it takes is one try to kind of burst, and he's gonna re-aggravate that hamstring. It's hard for these things to heal this quickly, even if they do something like PRP or stem cell, or usually PRP for this week. But he's too risky.
Okay, and a couple stud tight ends to wrap it up. We got Jimmy Graham. What's going on there?
Jimmy Graham popped up yesterday or today, I don't remember what day it was, but with a groin, and he did have a good matchup, but Grandpa Jimmy, as much as I potentially liked him this week, I can't trust his groin injury, and I think they're going to probably spread the ball around, and they'll end up just kind of fading him away. So I would probably avoid him. He loses his shine this week.
Yeah, they do like Mercedes Lewis a lot as a big-time blocker. He's been around the NFL since I was in fifth grade, it feels like. How about Mark Andrews, up-and-coming tight end? How's he looking this week?
Oh, yeah. Beast Mode Andrews has looked fantastic. He popped week on Friday what they called a foot, but then they also said, he was just getting rest, so I don't know why you need rest in week 2, but and then again he popped up with a foot. I don't know if it was Wednesday or yesterday, but either way, mildly concerning, but it sounds like he'll be good to go. They really need both him and Hollywood to even have a chance in this game. I have a feeling that Mahomes and company are going to try to blow him out, with Jimmy Smith reeling and out for the game. Tavon Smith is out. The Ravens defense is banged up, so they're going to need Andrews to be in there so that they can at least compete or try to compete. Right,
without a doubt. Before I let you go, the breaking news of the story was Antonio Brown was released by the Patriots. That leaves us, Demaryius Thomas, he was traded away. That leaves a slot open for N'Keal Harry when he returns to be a wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3. What's the latest on his injury stats? What do we need to know?
So a couple things about N'Keal Harry. The Patriots were really high on him, as you can tell. I'm a crazy Patriots fan. The Patriots really like him, but they run a really complicated offense. So they have a tendency to not depend on rookie wide receivers because it's so hard for them to grasp all of the different plays and all audibles and everything. So when Antonio Brown came in, they were like, oh, we really kind of don't need him. So they slid him over. They traded Demaryius Thomas, so now there's a little bit of a need, but he's on IR. He was banged up a little bit. He had a little bit of a toe injury. I think he was dealing with a little bit of a hamstring. But by the time he comes back, this is going to be like them trading for a player mid-season. He should be good to go by, I think it's week 9 or 10. He should fully know the offense by then. He's going to be fresh. And he could smash when the Patriots, or I should say the fantasy playoffs come around. So he could be. He's a nice kind of stash spot if you have the luxury. I know IR spots are limited, and I know that bye weeks are coming, but he's definitely someone I would keep an eye on because he has tons of potential, even though he is a rookie.
Yeah, he's a physical specimen, almost like a Megatron type of guy. Right now, it's Philip Dorsett's role to do what he can do with it. He had the 2 touchdowns on opening night, so definitely a lot of upside there.
Definitely.
Yes. Before we leave, is there any key defensive players that you want to touch on that are not playing this week?
The Colts are really banged up. Their stud all-pro Leonard is out with a concussion. They have like 3 or 4 main guys out. So if there's ever a week that Devonta Freeman is going off, it's this one. And if you guys have ever listened to any of my stuff, I am not a big fan of Devonta Freeman. He let us down big time last year, and I was concerned about him this year. But this is a smash spot. As far as the Ravens, they're banged up pretty bad. No other major ones that pop into my mind. Bush from the Bucks is going to be out, so that helps Ingram. Ingram of the Giants, with Danny Dimes throwing to him. So a couple potentially key injuries that could translate to fantasy production.
And CJ Mosley, is there one more week? What's going on there?
Yeah, he's going to be out with a groin, and he's very solid, but I don't know what they can potentially do to stop the Patriots, even without Antonio.
Yeah, they got the bye week next week, so better just to rest him.
Yeah.
Hopefully Le'Veon Bell as well, since there's absolutely no chance they're going to win that game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm astonished at how much volume he's getting. Like, he is just eating it up, and good for him. Like, I didn't have much faith in him. I didn't think they were going to be able to give him this volume, but go figure they are, and I'll take the L on that. I'm okay with that. But, they need some help. They're hurting. They're really on the mend right now.
Kaepernick is the answer, if he can.
I'm a Kaepernick fan. I mean, it's funny because they were saying last week, remove the political BS aside, like his just play and his potential. I mean, he's been blackballed, and I just don't think he'll ever get another shot, but they'll continue to scream from the rafters. It's funny because we saw Lamar Jackson do something last week that they said never had happened before. And then it was funny because Kaepernick did it in a playoff game. And a lot of people called out ESPN saying, yeah, you better change that to say only in regular season. Because Kaepernick did this before. Yeah. Like, this isn't the first time. It's the first time in regular season. But, so we forget how dominant he was when he was dominant. He had his rough times. But I wish somebody would give him a call. But this is a small fraternity, and it's not happening.
Yeah, doing what they can to keep Kaepernick down. Well, Dr. Jesse Morse, thank you once again for being with us.
My pleasure.
And you can catch the rest of Dr. Jesse Morse's picks on beastdome.com for Who Is Injured. Have a great Sunday. Beast! That is all for tonight on BC Odds. If you want my weekly rankings, my Monkey Night Fight picks, and my draft strategy, sign up for the promos below in the description. Send me a DM with your username or an email at beast@beastdome.com. Thank you to Dr. Jesse Morse. Play GOATFantasy.com. I'll see you soon. Beast!